Unbelievable! Are you looking for a no-nonsense property and business podcast? Our mission is to provide jam-packed content straight to your ears, where we can add value and unpick the fluff in the industry. If this sounds like a bit of you, then strap in and hold tight for an episode with Heidi and Dan.
Right, welcome to another episode of the Unbelievable Property Podcast with Dan and Heidi, who are your hosts. We've got Joe Lane on today. Very excited for this episode. I've known Joe for a number of years, expert in the property finance industry. So Joe is a serial entrepreneur, property investor, developer, mortgage broker, owns a company called Mortgage Lane, and also Square Scaffolding. So Joe, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Heidi.
Brilliant. So, bit of an intro there, Joe. Touch on a few of your businesses, but did you just want to give us a bit of background into yourself, who you are, where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Newport in South Wales, and basically I started out in property essentially when I was 16. So years before that, my dad had become like an accidental landlord, real small scale, just basically remarried, ended up with a flat. And, pretty much like most property investors, you're watching Homes Under the Hammer. And I got a bit clever, too young, and I was trying to give my dad some advice, about things that he should know. But he wasn't interested. He wasn't interested in business. Wasn't really interested in property. It was an accidental thing. So my interest just developed. And one day I was in school with a friend of mine called Dorian, and we were discussing how we could set up a business, and it was going to be around property. So we were scouring the internet, and we saw a training pack that we purchased for like £600, and it was all about how to set up a letting agency. So, young age, we bought the pack, we had all the legal documents, we had everything ready to go. So I'd go on Gumtree and I would find landlords that were advertising properties. I'd basically replicate their ad with different photos to get inquiries of my own. And I would then contact those landlords with reference tenants ready to go. And on first visit, often I was, letting the property out. So I built a reputation from the age of 16 that way in business. Because to be honest, when you're that young in business, no one really takes you seriously. So that was where I started. And as that business developed, I was looking for finance brokers to give my clients advice, because we were sourcing properties back then, and I didn't really know anyone who specialised in buy-to-let mortgages. So in the end, I decided that, lettings game probably wasn't for me. Same for my friend Dorian. So we basically broke even on it, exited the business, sold it, and I became a mortgage broker about 2 years after that. So with that journey, I was studying accountancy. I couldn't see myself as being an accountant. I think you do a bit of accountancy, Dan, is that right?
No, I looked into it years ago. I did actually look at becoming an accountant years ago. I did an assessment day. I didn't pass it, but then after that, I was like, nah, fuck this, not for me. I was like, nah. For years, it was the army or accountants, and I was like, I did the assessment day. I was like, can I be stuck in an office, like auditing and learning about tax and that? I was like, nah, not for me.
Surprises me. I thought you'd be into that, Dan.
I'm into like analysis and statistical analysis and all that sort of stuff, but no, I just don't think accounting. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what the future holds, eh?
So your choice was getting your head kicked in or numbers. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, so I did make the accountancy, and then I decided I would just, specialise in what I couldn't find. And then I found a network that took me on, self-employed from day one. And then, so I was building a business, really from no experience at all. And then, there's networking events all over the UK, so I was going to as many as I could. And there was one up a mountain in Wales called Penyfan. There was 30 of us. We were all walking the hills. And I was speaking to a guy called John in Swansea.
So the SAS train, isn't it, Penyfan?
Exactly, yeah, the SAS train there. Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. Jacob's Ladder's the one, apparently. But
yeah.
So he was telling me, John, he was saying about these two HMOs he had, great deal. You hear a lot of this in the property education space. A lot of people are saying they've got these deals that are like, £400,000 BMV, and some of them are right. Some of them have got these deals, but a lot of people do, do over exaggerate some of the deals that I see. So, at that time, I didn't know whether to believe him. He was saying they were worth 550, but he could buy them for 365 because he was a letting agent and his contact had a lease option with the owner. So she could have bought them for 365, but had gone bankrupt and couldn't get a mortgage to buy them herself. So we were going to buy the option from her for £5,000. Now, I was thinking about this, and I knew that we could get bridging finance for 100% of the purchase price. And I thought to myself, well, what is the risk? What's the risk of me going ahead with this now? And as I thought about it, I realised that the only risk really was the valuation fee. It's either going to value up or not. And, if it doesn't value up, then, I walk away with half a val fee lost, So that was my risk. So I believe John. I took the risk. Turns out the properties did value at 550. We bought them no money down, and then about 3 or 4 months later, we refinanced. Full market value, 85% HMO mortgage back then. They're not around so much now. The rate we were paying.
No.
Yeah, the rate we were paying back then, you can't even get 65% for. So yeah, we did it, and that really kick-started my property journey. Pulled out £85,000 basically from thin air, and then we had a cash flow in HMO as well. So from that point, we just bought a load of properties, refurbed and refinanced them. So that was where my property journey really started. And then,
That's awesome.
yeah, thank you. And from there, I was refurbing a few properties. I had a few things open, and I had some cash aside, and I didn't want to buy any more properties. You got a few refurbs on the go. You know what builders are like, guys. It's really hard, isn't it, managing them,
Yeah.
not spinning up trades. So I was like, I don't really want to deploy any more capital on another, refurb because I had enough on. So weirdly, I got offered a scaffolding company. Someone mentioned they were selling it, and I also had a friend from school. Weirdly, at the same sort of time, a day after or so, mentioned to me that he was struggling in his workplace, not feeling appreciated, all of the rest of it. And I just thought to myself, well, why not? Why can't I buy this business? I don't know anything about scaffolding, but you really put your money where your mouth is at that point, and I did. And it worked out. But ever since then, we've bought some smaller firms as well, and to merge with ours. It's not like the classic mergers and acquisitions game when you're doing your due diligence on the company, and you might get finance, and you're doing an earn out and all this stuff. It's not as sexy as that. It's more about buying the equipment. The thing is with scaffolding companies, a lot of scaffolding business owners, they don't run businesses properly. They take their cash out and they make the business look not profitable. So it wouldn't be in their interests to be.
It's good for
buying
when
it.
you're buying it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So really, all you can buy is the equipment with these smaller firms that don't run them commercially. So yeah, we did, and maybe 2.5 years on now, we're doing really well, and we'll be looking for our next acquisition, I think, in 6 months. So.
That's
And I'm
amazing.
here now.
Where is your scaffolding company?
So we're based in Newport in South Wales, but we go from Swansea all the way up to them, Worcester, Birmingham. We're going to be expanding our fleet soon. The thing is, when you're looking at businesses like that, a lot of the time it's a case of how do you do things logistically better, because of course you could have smaller vehicles going from one end of the country to the other, then somewhere else and somewhere else, or you could have one lorry just going along and along and along and along, and they never have to come back because they've got a lorry they can carry a lot more. So that's really what we're doing, is just trying to get into being a bigger company, and go more corporate, because of course I think that industry lacks the corporate touch, particularly. So yeah, there's that. But with the mortgage side, I went directly authorised in 2021. There's now 24 of us in the group, in the mortgage side. So that is amongst my core team, and then we've got self-employed brokers then, pretty much all over the country. So We've had brokers in Southampton. We're taking one on in London, potentially one in Scotland. We've got quite a few in Wales. So we're actually a mortgage network now, and we specialise in property investors.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was really my journey and how I got to where I got.
That's fascinating. It's really varied as well. Like, I didn't know you had the scaffolding company. I was like, well, that's bloody random, that is. But yeah, I like all that.
There's a bloke in Hull that has a scaffolding company, and he puts up the signs. It just made me laugh when he said, "I didn't know you had it," and I nearly said it out loud. But he puts a massive sign up that says, "I can't remember his name, Colin Scaffolder or Scott Cole Scaff, I think, erection specialist."
I know. A few people have done that, and I'm like, wow, it's a bit Marmite, isn't it? You're gonna love it or hate it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if you're going for that corporate image, it's not something you want to have because obviously it's tongue in cheek in it of what it is. But yeah, literally when you just said that, then I thought, oh yeah, I remember. But yeah, like you say, it's varied. But I guess what's your role within these businesses now? Because and talk us about the transition of going from Joe Lane, working on my own, smashing out all the mortgages, building the business, networking, getting all the leads, to probably sitting where you are now, more operationally within the businesses and looking at it strategically and growth through acquisition and organic and etc.
Yeah, okay. So I think when I became a mortgage broker, I was on my own for a short period of time. Most people, especially, I didn't have like a flash upbringing or anything. So, most people when they start out in something, a lot of people would want to take the money out quickly, spend it, enjoy themselves. Unfortunately, I never did any of that. I literally took on staff straight away. Made a loss as well because when you open a business to start, you do things wrong. You don't know how to train people. You don't know how to effectively make people make money and be happy and also make money themselves. It's a logistical thing to get your head around, and learning the people side of the business was probably my first obstacle. Luckily, I took on my brother called Jack, and he was my first employee. So, and it was funny because when he was joining, he worked for Tesco's at the time, and he was like, "Oh, shall I drop down to part time first?" He didn't think I could afford to pay his wages. So, but he joined, and it worked out. It was fine. Profitability though at that time I didn't even have a CRM system. That was the thing. I was doing things on spreadsheets, pieces of paper, and in the mortgage industry, CRM systems are quite few and far between. Not in the sense that there isn't any out there, but isn't any out there that are extremely good. So now I've got like a customized one because been through so many, works so well, especially as we specialize in investment. And there's a bespoke application to that. So I took Jack on, and then luckily as well, my sisters joined. I had a really good team really quick. In 2022, there was like 36 of us in the group. The market slowed down a bit now. People have naturally left, and we just, I guess the demand in the industry isn't quite there to need to replace at the moment. But yeah, I had a massive team really quick. So I then had to start focusing on, what is my role in the business. So I decided that I would just go out and do as many talks as I could to share with other investors how I've made money in property using my finance knowledge. And that's the thing with property investing, as you know, Dan, as you know, Heidi, when you understand the lending criteria and what's actually possible with valuation methodology, with construction types, tenant types, really intricate things that surround property, then you can start using that and applying it outward when you're sourcing deals. A lot of people might just look at a building and think, "Oh, it's just a building." But when you start getting experience in property, you start to think, "Well, actually, that would really suit social housing." Actually, this property's been on the market for 18 months because it's concrete construction, and not a lot of people might think they can get a mortgage on it. And that's where there are instances that could, make a vendor quite vulnerable and quite weak. They've been on the market trying to sell their property for a long time, and then a sophisticated investor comes along, puts a cheeky offer in, and is able to then actually get finance on that property and get full market value back on a remortgage. So I decided that I'd go around sharing that, and I did. I grew the business as big as I needed to have it, really, with the team I had. And these days now, I'm sort of focusing more on online and giving back that way. If you go on our website now, there's a lot of FAQs out there, serious content. And the FAQs are really about all the intricacies of the things I just mentioned there, how they work, what loan to values you can expect for certain tenant types or construction types, and what documents you might need to procure along that deal to get a good exit. So right now, my role in the business is, if we look at the scaffolding company, I work on contracts. I bring contracts in, and I also refine the compliance and the health and safety side. But that's really spare time hobby thing. It doesn't really take me long. My main role is in mortgage loan. I'm quite dedicated to the finance side and
Yeah.
really making that business as quality as possible, so people really know how to access the funding they need.
Yeah. And just to touch on the point, like you said, then I think it's important that a sophisticated investor, some people look at a building, but using your knowledge, you're able to look at a building and say, right, well, this product would allow me to do this, or this could allow me to do a title split for me to be able to make X. So you probably have a competitive advantage in the market due to your experience, but then also being able to have conversations with investors and give them them nuggets. And we both know Tom. I remember having a conversation with him and the Northgate that you're doing for us. He just told me on a podcast I recorded with him, exchange, delay completion, 9 months, we did this and refinanced out and then paid it off. So I managed to negotiate similar terms to him. The refurb didn't happen in 9 months, but I still got an exchange, delay completion. It's just getting them nuggets about how you can structure things that to benefit you. And obviously you have that knowledge to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, it's good, and also it sort of separates the professional investors from people who are just on landlord style. And like you said there with your EDC, and you had 9 months of it, right? Looking at it like that, let's say a 100 grand purchase at 75% is going to cost you 750 a month on a bridge, right? And you've had that for 9 months. That's like the best part of 8 grand. That you've saved on the vendor's time, the vendor's money. They've got their money locked into it or their finance or whatever, and you're controlling that property for 9 months. It can save you a lot of money when you negotiate something like that. So even if the refurb took a bit longer, you've still shaved a lot of time you might spend on short-term funding. Really, it's great.
Yeah.
So,
are there any juicy products?
Sorry,
I was going to say, are there any juicy products or projects that you're working on?
I'm sitting now in my office, and above here, I'm just literally about to get planning for 3 flats above. Because when I bought it, it was a 3-story office. And yeah, we've got a massive unit down here. So we're doing that. And I'm also buying a portfolio of 5 at the moment, but I'm doing it via share purchase. So I'm saving money on the stamp duty.
Right.
And yeah, just to acquire that way now.
Is that 0.5% stamp?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. But also, the other thing is, when you're holding properties, if you've got like JVs everywhere and different companies everywhere, like, I don't know about your accountants, guys, but mine charges me like £1,000 per SPV minimum. So yeah, I'm looking to consolidate really and get them all into one company, because it's like the Wild West. I'm getting invoices everywhere.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
carnage, isn't it?
Just a quick question. Did I make this up? Because we're working on a deal together, not together, but I've sold some properties and you're the mortgage broker, which is awesome. And it's about to send me over the edge if it don't complete by the end of the month, and I'll cry. But is it true, or can you shed some light on is it the stamp duty relief for multiple dwellings? Is that about to end, or have I made that up?
Yeah, no. That I have seen something in the press about the multiple dwellings relief about to be changed, but a lot's changing now with the Labour government potentially coming in now. But yes, that's right. I have heard the same. But stamp duty, I haven't heard anything along those lines about that changing. So, but yeah, a lot does change. And the thing is, when you come to understand what's coming, you see why it's coming, because a lot of people have been making a lot of money out of these strategies for a long time. I mean, you look at foreign nationals, for example. Like I've just been out in Singapore, doing training with
Additional
people.
2%. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they get front loaded on their stamp duty. They pay extra percentage, and they're caned on interest rates as well. And some lenders add a percent onto their product fee. So it's harder for a lot of international investors to invest in money, and a lot of them out there, I noticed, were looking for like UK partners. And the thing that I thought is, well, in the UK, property education networks are saturated with people who, have loads of time but not so much capital, and they're looking to invest. But out there, it's like the other way round. You've got people with no time, loads of money, and I mean serious money. There's boys out there with no facial hair, and they've got like 200 million. And like
Yeah.
it's hard to believe. So I'm thinking, well, what an opportunity to maybe network overseas and be a UK partner for some of these investors. It's the key to the lock a lot of the time for some people.
Yeah. No, I certainly agree there. And with I used to source, was still vaguely source with Jocelyn, but she introduced me to someone, and we used to like basically co-source for some for a Singaporean investor. So there's this guy, and what he used to do is he used to have his own. I can't think of the word now, I've gone blank. But essentially, he'd have like 120 investors that would come onto his program, every year. So it'd be like 30 or something like that, 30 or 40 every 3 months. And he would promise them within the next 12 months they would be able to acquire a UK property using a strategy. But he would strategically use a set number of sources in the specific locations across the UK. And although they had the 2% extra additional surcharge on stamp duty, when the rates were lower, because their criteria was just on a net ROI, I think it was like 6% or 8% net ROI, which is good, obviously, for a sourcer to sell it.
Yeah.
And they had a low interest rate. It was, one or two a month, just like, even if you like find something that meets their criteria, present it to them, they're just bidding for it. It turned into an auction because, like you say, the funds they have, some of the proof of funds you see across, you think, bloody hell, like, I've never seen proof of funds like it. Do you know what I mean? And different level.
Different money, different level.
And yeah,
Yeah, they don't even
we work
think
with quite a
before they do.
few.
Yeah. They literally they don't think before they do a deal, and they don't have to too much because in their country, like their yields are like they're nowhere near ours, even with the rates the way they
It's
are.
volatile as well, the market over there.
Yeah, very volatile. In Singapore, buy it like there's not much under £1 million there to buy, and what I noticed in Singapore, everyone was mentioning how much tax they pay. I think it was 45% on a second property. It's like a lot, serious money.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's just like not possible for a lot of them to do it. But but when I was in the event, they had a deal up. It was like so many commercial units, and they were setting up a fund to buy 16 units in like a block of 32 or something like that, and then they were going to sell each unit, which was offices, separately. And then I think the buy-in was like 20 million and the exit was like net profit 1.2, but they raised like over 1 million in like just a couple of minutes there and then. Just it was like they were just putting 20 quid on the horses or something.
So what was, tell us about that event then. Why did you go over there, and what was your sort of like objectives, and what's the outcome? What do you hope the outcome to be?
Well, I've been doing a lot with overseas investors for a long time. I started off doing bits for people in Hong Kong, and then the word spread. It seems like people are quite connected, Hong Kong, Singapore. And then a friend of mine, Kai, who I'm also his broker, he was doing some training with people out there, and he asked me to go along, and I went. So yeah, it was literally clear cut like that. So I went along. I did some finance training with them, but what I learned is that like they're very they're very they live, right? So normally in this country, people go to a meeting and they can't wait to leave, and they just want what they can get from you. You know, that's what it's like in Britain. But you know, out there, they want to have lunch with you. They want to do all the personal stuff, and really, like, you know, if you haven't got much of an appetite, you're fucked because they feed you first. You know, but you look away and your plate is just
I'll be all
like,
right then.
yeah, I know. I come back, I was
Right,
like,
I'm definitely
yeah, I needed it. Wasting away, yeah. But yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it was nice to understand their culture and yeah, see how it all happens. Hard workers.
I find them. I think they're hard workers, but they're very respectful, like of their own culture and other cultures. Like, you know, when we was having conversations, they always fully respectful and, you know, open to having that conversation and very polite and open and warm to you. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes in the UK, you know, you get some white cunts, don't you? But
You too.
I, but but I never. But for all the Singaporeans that I work with, I never come across one. They were always really polite and, you know, wanting to sort of learn about the market and just were very engaging and willing. And yeah, it's completely different.
It's different presenting to a crowd like that. You know, you see people's reactions and, you know, all pleasant. But yeah, in the UK, it's just very different, like you say. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be excited to go back. I'll probably do Hong Kong again. Sorry, I'll probably do Hong Kong now. But the thing is, at the moment for them, like, will I see much out of it for the next 2 years? You know, if it's expensive for us to do a deal and we're struggling on margins, like, what's it like for them? You know, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see because it has slowed down
Where's
overseas.
where's Mortgage Lane, Dubai? I'm surprised I ain't seen that yet.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that because I was actually going to set up a Sharia compliant brand, and I was going to launch it in Dubai. So you know, who
Oh
knows?
no.
I was actually having a meeting with someone who used to, you know, work with me, and um, she was thinking about becoming a mortgage broker, and she's Dubai based. So, you know, who knows? I might even launch Mortgage Lane Dubai at some point. You see me with my zero
Watch this
percent
space.
tax.
Announcement here.
Yeah,
In your rollers. In
I
your
know. Yeah,
rollers flying about.
yeah, I know. But yeah, you know, when you travel and you go around the world and like places like Singapore, you just think, what a shithole the UK's become. You know, like driving my car, like my my missus has had two blowouts and I've had one in the last like three months. That's just potholes in the road. You know, can't even maintain the roads.
Yeah.
You know, and out there you'd be
I
lucky
know.
if you
It's
see a
funny.
leaf blowing round.
Yeah, so it's mad. Like I've only ever gone through Singapore airport. Like I tried leaving the airport for like a tour when I had a layover, but there was no one at the desk when I was on my way to Oz. But like it's supposed to, the airport was fantastic. It's supposed to be one of the cleanest cities in the world. My wife's auntie just come back from Hong Kong, and she said like over there, all the side of the roads are pristinely cut. There's, you know, it's just manicured everywhere, the streets and that. And like you say, she said exactly the same point. Over here, you drive along, you've got fucking overgrown edges. You've got like the council ain't cut the grass for about 6 months, and it's like it's just all over. And I was watching a video on TikTok, and it was a bloke complaining to LBC, the radio station. He was like, "My missus from Germany. He's like, she wanted to move to London. She was like, she lasted 6 months and thought, what a sham this is." He said, so I moved to Germany. It was like, you get in to see a doctor when you want, you get to do this, the streets are clean, there's like X, Y, and Z. Obviously, there's going to be pockets of it, but he was just like, the UK brainwash at NHS, it's supposed to be fantastic. You pay all this money to never fucking see anyone. And I was like, it's true, isn't it?
It is so
making me
true.
want to move out of the country.
I know, I
I
know.
know. I just think we're just like, are we just like, okay, the government's gone to shit, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? We
I
just live
know.
with it.
And like, yeah, there's like, I find
Yeah,
the
yeah.
younger generation doesn't have any interest really in you know what's going on in the world. It's becoming that way, you know. Just think,
Definitely,
fuck it.
definitely. I'll switch off. I don't. Yeah, exactly. When you said about Labour government potentially coming in, I should be aware of all this stuff. But I like categorically don't watch anything or read like news articles just because it's just shit all the time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, well,
depressing, isn't it?
it is.
What are you what's going on next then, Joe? Because you've got obviously your own portfolio, your mortgages, you're speaking now, scaffolding. How do you sort of split your time and what's your next focus?
Yeah, so my next focus is at the moment I'm refining, the Mortgage Lane brand. The mortgage industry has had something called the Consumer Duty Act that's come in. It focuses on vulnerable clients and fees as well. So I'm looking to make my brand quite economical for customers in terms of costs, and also focusing on that vulnerability side and how we can help support those type of customers. And vulnerability is quite a big word. You get people with adverse credit, you get people who might even have learning difficulties. There's all sorts of vulnerabilities, and as a mortgage company, we do have a bit of a duty of care to look at how we can have an impact on those people. And it's not really something widespread. I think there's a lot of mortgage companies out there that aren't focusing as much as they should do on it. And a lot of them will see it as like an obligation because it's like new legislation that's coming out and not entirely policed probably. But as a business owner, when you're obliged to do that, you can actually think about it in a good way and think, well, how can I add quality to my brand at the same time? So I'm doing that. The website's been redone now, so I'm focusing now on blogging. I'm going to be talking about some real, creative things that I see a lot of the time and I think are undervalued. Some strategies, some offshoots, a lot about valuation methodology. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of content really coming out in the form of web page, so that when people are scouring Google, they might see our blogs on these creative topics. But my blogs, they'll be like full web pages with calculators and all of that sort of stuff. So they're going to be quite applied. So that's going to be my first focus, is refining the Mortgage Lane brand. Also, I've got a baby due in September, so the family's growing.
Oh, congrats.
I know, and
Congrats.
with that, yeah. How many children have we all got, Dan?
Too many.
I got
Two.
two girls, 4, and the youngest one just turned 2 on the 6th of May. So
Oh,
fucking carnage, mate.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Also got
Shocking.
2 girls.
You've got 2 girls too.
2 girls,
Oh,
4 and 8. Yeah, fucking
nice
carnage
age.
also. And the
Not
minute
together.
yeah, we're not together. We can't count if that's the case. But mine are miniature versions of me, so they're as well.
Have you got one already, Joe? Or is this your first?
I've got 2 stepchildren, but they live with me. And treat them like my own, love them like my own. So yeah, so mine on the way now is going to have a great brother and sister, which will be really nice. So yeah, that's going to happen. So I've got 4 and 7.
Oh yeah, we're all fucked, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, at least they're at an age where they can. At least they're at an age where they can help out, though. Like, when we had our first, she was 2 years and 9 months when the second one was born, and obviously she's still like a baby herself. But at least with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, you've got grab us a nappy. The understanding of being able to do things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I was quite surprised because I thought, I wanted to do something nice for my fiancée, and I thought, right, I'm gonna put some pink flowers out on the drive, So I'm doing some gardening, right? And Lily, the 7-year-old, she wants to help, and I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, it's gonna be a mess everywhere, But I was so surprised. Like, she actually knew what she was doing. She was like weeding. She was actually really helpful. It surprised me, to be honest. But maybe in 20 years' time I'll have an extra
your brother,
3 employees.
Yeah, you got your brother, your sister, and now your 7-year-old daughter going to be working for you.
Well, look at the Rockefeller family.
Exactly, yeah.
That was my plan. I've just I did a little recording with my 8-year-olds on this podcast. I don't think we've released it yet. And I was like, so Elsa, you want this business? No, I do not. I was like, it's slagging it off. So force business on them. That's my plan.
I just want to teach my kids about stocks and shares, ISAs, and investing and growing. Like, if you invest, I never had any education. I was all self-taught. Like, I literally had none of that. My upbringing is probably similar to yours, Joe. Like, none of that. You're in an area where it's the only reason I learned about wealth was because I went to a grammar school, and kids were getting X5s and BMWs and Range Rovers on their 17th birthday. I was like, fucking hell, like, how do you get that? Oh, my dad, property developer, my dad has a business, my dad's an accountant, you know what I mean? And I was just like, oh, okay, got to do something here then.
So
Yeah,
you tried the accountancy and then...
Yeah, that worked for me. Yeah, I work in sales now. I just talk the iron leads off a donkey all the time. That's what I do. I just travel the country talking to people. That's my job.
yeah. There's
Right. So back on I was going to say to you, Joe, about your business economic thing, because Dan knows this, and I fully admit this as a property person. I'm shit with numbers, great with maths, shit with analysis. So like today, one of your team sent me some terms and some numbers in an email. I was like, ugh, shut that down. And I'm dyslexic, so if you want any feedback about learning disabilities and numbers, I'll help you out. Because I was just like, oh, numbers. We'll just ignore that until tomorrow.
100%.
Yeah, let me know.
Yes, sometimes conversation, you know. So we can. I'm sure. Well, now you've said that, give me a call tomorrow. We'll go through it.
Oh, I might have to because I'm like, so what does that mean? And then Dan stacks, we work together, stacks all the numbers and the analysis, and I'm the gobby one, and I'm just like, Dan, just add this up, thanks.
Yeah, do this. I could do it in half the time. You've got to know your strengths, ain't you?
It's not mine.
Yeah, I'm sure you're better at loads of stuff that we're not.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
weirdly good at calculating refurb, so like that'll cost this, but like working out loan to value, it still baffles me, loan to values and percentages, and I'm like, no.
That's why you build a good team around you for people to help it. Like you have a good broker. They say, right, this is it. This is the structure. This is what you're going to get. Go ahead, or probably wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? They talk about power team and stuff like that. I hate that fucking analogy, like cliche, but it's true. And if you've got people around you who know exactly what they're doing, who can speed it along, then
It's
you don't need to know it, do you?
No.
It's admitting that as well, though. Like, I've got no qualms about admitting I can't add that up. Don't make me analyse that. But I found a house. I can refurb it. I can do a fucking banging exit on it. But the numbers baffle me.
Yeah,
So
works
Bill
out.
Gates said he employs lazy people because they always find shortcuts on how to do things.
There is a lot of truth to that. 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's yeah, I'm probably one of them myself. You know, lazy. Love a shortcut. You know.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Perfect. What's your sort of take on the market now, then, Joe? Like, what are whispers from investors, and what are you seeing? Like, don't have to go into specific about products, but like, what's your general feel for the market and what the future may hold, subject to announcing the new government?
okay. I think strategy is changing. Well, the thing is, you know, I said I did say that we're potentially looking at a Labour government. I highlight the word potentially because I know fuck all about it as well, to be honest. I'm just like, I feel in the press about politics, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds bad. I should brace for this one. But, you know, yeah, I'm not sure about the intricacies of what that will, you know, carry. But what I do know is strategy is changing, strategy is evolving, strategies are failing that we're working. And when I was in 2021, everything was insane. You know, the rates were good, deals were everywhere. You know, I was watching people make a clear 150, 200 grand on flipping, you know, large family houses, you know, 5-bedders, 6-bedders, you know, making them nice and selling them. But like now, I'm seeing the same deals trying to exit. They're trying to sell them, and they're stuck on bridging too long, and then the cash is just absolutely hemorrhaging from that investment. So I'm seeing like flips evolving. I'm seeing people exiting better on first-time buyer stock, because if anyone's buying at the moment, it's first-time buyers. They're full of incentives.
Yeah.
And of course, as a first-time buyer, you're going to fucking wait 5 years and see what happens with the rates, or you're going to get out of mum and dad's house if you can afford to. So, you know, first-time buyers are still buying now. So what I would say, people who are looking at flips, I would be doing that. I'd be looking at what do first-time buyers want? Can I buy a house dilapidated for X amount, pay no stamp duty or land transaction tax if you're in Wales? Can I then do a refurb to that property, focusing on knowing I'm going to probably sell to a first time buyer and what they're going to want? You know, maybe a start a family, Make it quite, vibrant inside, think about a bit of interior design, and that's going to be your exit. Because with any business, there is, exit is the most important thing. We're not here forever, and businesses last often not as long as us. So when you procure the exit in that way, I think people will have an advantage, and your exit is your buyer when you're looking at flips. So there's flips I've seen evolving. I've seen service accommodation evolving. I've seen when in 2021 I was seeing one bedroom flats absolutely booked out, right? And now I'm seeing them struggle, and larger family homes are now doing well. Because with the larger family homes, it's hard for like any hotel to compete with that. You've got, these one bedroom flats. I see them on Airbnb, £100 a night. Well, you can go down like ETAP or whatever, £50 a night. So it's hard to compete with these hotel brands. But when you've got like a 5 bedroom house and you can get 8 contractors in there, there's no way a company is going to go to a hotel versus that, because it's so much cheaper
Yeah.
to house a big team in one big property. So yeah, I'm just seeing strategies completely evolving at the moment. I'm seeing values, up, down, stabilize. In the grand scheme of things, I think values have stabilized very well. I think our property market is quite good in that sense, because we've had quite a lot of hardship. We've got wars bubbling, and the values have stabilized in the grand scheme of that. But yeah, I'm just seeing strategies continuously evolving. And yeah, that's what I would say in terms of the market at the moment.
I feel much more reassured now. I'm off to see a big house tomorrow for a flip, and I'm like, oh, I never wanted to do flips, and I've seen it as an opportunity. Someone sent me it, and it's like, fuck it. So I'll send you that as well.
My best deal was a flip. To be fair,
Yeah.
it was back in 2020 or 2021, I think, or 2019. Fucking hell, it was a few years ago anyway. No, it was 2020 or 2021. It was referred by James, and he, family member of his, 65 grand cash purchase, 30k refurb. The refurb was done in 2 months, full back to brick, everything, and then sold it. It was on the market 8 days and made 42 grand profit.
Fucking hell, it's good that.
So 2 months and 8 days, 42 grand. Bought it for 65, spent 30 on it,
Legend.
sold it for 141.
That's mental profit.
But I only appraised it at 125. And then because COVID was kicking in, bang.
And just gone. See, that's lovely. That is 40 grand off a flip. Like if you had a rental for 2 years, you'd struggle to make that. It's gone. And
Yeah, exactly.
invest that again. Mate, great deal. 100%.
Yeah, best deal I had. I wish they were all like that.
We should do like a little deal podcast. Come back and we'll do how many cool deals we've found or done or heard of.
Oh yeah, I've seen some great deals in my time. 100%. Scotland's a funny market, It is. I see.
But the thing is, they have to get a valuation before they sell, don't they?
Yeah, the home buyers report, which is more of an enhanced report. But yeah, I'm seeing like there's such volatility in the valuations there. You might go to one lender and get a value for 60 grand. You could go to another lender and get a value for 90. It's like really, really strange. But people seem to make quite good money in Scotland. I guess the issue is the low ticket piece, because a lot of lenders have quite rich minimum loans, and that's where you want to be to get good rates sometimes, especially if you're an overseas investor. A lot of them lenders start with 100k minimum.
Yeah, true. I remember, I don't know if you was on the thing. Do you remember the Scottish lad, Danny, from Tom's thing?
I know Danny. Yeah.
Mates. Oh, he was funny. I remember he was just like, I thought I was buying a house, and he accidentally clicked bid on like 5 apartment block or something like that in Scotland, and he accidentally bid on it in the auction and won it. He's like, fuck. So and it was quite far away, but he just turned it all around and Airbnb'd it. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. At least he did that. That's that.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's funny because he just he is entrepreneurial, and he started off as a window cleaner. Now owns like massive maintenance company and loads of properties now. And he's funny, but he's good. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, running a building team, that's hard work.
Yeah.
Really hard work. He does it well, to be fair. I speak to Danny quite a lot, and yeah, he's always he's got quite a big team, mate. So, but it takes a lot to have a team, like that, and run it well, especially in the building trade. 'Cause you got to think, like, I guess with what I do, we can micromanage and check things, but in the building trade, if someone fucks something up, that's it's all being done again.
Yeah, at your cost.
Yeah, at your cost. But yeah, what's your experience
Yeah.
being with builders at the moment?
Well, to be fair, like when I first started out, we had like one build team. They was doing all the buy to lets in and out within 4 or 5 weeks. Like absolutely solid, really, really well. And then they did one of the flips for us, but we paid. It was our own fault. We paid up front to avoid that. So there was no incentive, and it dragged over, and it missed like the peak of the market, and some of the quality had dropped as well. Like there's some things I noticed, for example, like instead of getting the fridge freezer done properly, they like got a fucking pallet, cut it down, put it underneath to raise the fridge freezer, and put a plinth over it. Just little things like that. You're just like, I'm trying to sell this house as a flip. Like, are you joking? But I think they did that because I wanted them to price for the conversion. And he said, do this. I said, well, we're going out to tender. We're doing JCT. It's a big build. Like, we're not just going to trust without full spec. And he was like, you need to trust my word, and sort of fell out and yeah, moved on. And then we had another builder, the project for Northgate, brilliant quality, professional, worked well. Like it overran, but it weren't like their fault. There was other things, do you know what I mean? And as you expect in building and refurbishments and that, but in terms of the quality, the communication and things like that, can't fault them because it's done professionally and he's from a professional background. So
yeah, sometimes
it's sad as well because you've got to kiss quite a lot of frogs, haven't you?
Yeah, once you get that that one, you've got to keep them sweet, haven't you?
I've paid because obviously where we are, we've obviously got the Humber Bridge, Lincolnshire. I'm actually in Lincolnshire, and I've paid
shut up.
shut up, you cockney twat. I've paid Hull Builders to travel to Lincolnshire just because I don't trust anyone else. Mental.
Yeah.
Like, please travel across the bridge, please. But yeah, just a lot of frogs I have.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
You got it though, didn't you? What about yourself, Joe? What about yourself?
Well, luckily, yeah. At the early days, I've had terrible. Like one of the worst things. It was probably the second deal I did. So I've extracted a load of cash out of that HMO deal, no money down, and we did a BRR. Bought a 2-bedroom house. We're going to make it a 3, and the carpenter that we used on it, we gave him the spec, and the bedroom was a centimetre too small to be classed as a bedroom. So on the valuation, it's a 2-bed still. Fucking killed me, that did.
Oh no!
Honestly,
Took the plasterboard off me and just sitting there.
I know.
Centimetre, fucking hell!
Pissed me right off.
Oh wow!
But in the end, we just thought,
Because that's a lot of value, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 15%, I think.
You took the skating board off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
But
You take the skating board off and the plasterboard.
it's still a
put it back
2-bed.
I'd
have done that.
I done. It's not like that, but I made my own error. And it just what you said about taking the skirting off. So we moved house when we bought our new build before this one, and then went to IKEA to buy a fucking like wardrobe, slidey doors. Like it was quite a decent one, and I didn't. I think I took the measurement, but I didn't have it written down or something like that. So I had the plans. So I looked at the plans and was like, oh, perfect, it fits because I've looked at the plans. But they were just like the plasterboard plans for the actual like spec drawings. So when we got it home, it was 4 centimetres too big to go in the slot, and it would have fit if I took the skirting boards off. But it's a brand new build, so I had to move it all the way to another side of the wall and then have this like alcove built for a wardrobe without a wardrobe in it. I was fucking livid. It was like a 600 quid sliding door, full face mirror, wardrobe, everything.
Why didn't you just take it back and just get another one?
Because I'd already erected it and went to push it in.
Oh, you dickhead.
That sounds really odd, but like, yeah, we put it up. I went to put it in. I was like, oh, I don't even fit.
I was going to say something
And it
really
took me, yeah, I know, yeah, I get the euphemism, but it literally took me 8 hours to put up as well.
Yeah.
Oh mate,
Wouldn't be the
that
first
is.
time a man
I know, I was livid, absolutely livid. But yeah.
Have you
Anyway,
built one since?
I'll say something.
no. Bought a house with built-in wardrobes.
Yeah.
Is that the spec now? Is that what you go for? Has to have a wardrobe,
Yeah, has to have built-in wardrobes.
not buy it.
Yeah.
Speaking of measuring things wrong, and hopefully he won't listen to this, but my trusted builder measured himself wrong because he's got a quiff. And he was meeting me to quote a refurb, and I was like, "But you've measured yourself wrong. How do I trust you now?"
Yeah, how do you trust him? I bet he's someone who says on his Tinder profile he's 5'8" and he's like
Yeah.
5'6", isn't it?
Yeah.
One of them.
No, you know he's tall. But anyway.
Oh, brilliant. Joe, before we wrap up, just gonna ping a few questions at you. I'm literally just doing it on a whim. I don't even have anything written down. But what is the best deal that you've done or seen?
Best deal I've done or seen. I'd probably say a commercial parade, where it was a row of 8 shops. The uppers weren't residential, but they developed the uppers into residential flats. I think they had about, I think it was like 20 flats all in all above. And they managed to buy it, refurb it, well, or develop it, refinance it, get all their money back, and about 500k as well. I just thought it was insane. That's like,
That's what you want, isn't it?
yeah, that's like that's probably the best commercial to residential scheme I've seen. But in terms of like money for fuck all, probably the HMO deal I did when I started, because I put a microwave in that place. I did fuck all, honestly, nothing. So I love stuff like that. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
The good way to know me.
yeah, you got to be in the right
They are
place
the
at the
best
right time.
runners.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think like they say about luck and like making your own luck, and some of the best deals you get like just come out of just having a conversation, or I can't be asked to go to this viewing, and then off the back of that viewing something else happens, and like you get a fucking mental deal or something like that. And it's just going out there in it really and applying yourself. What's your next business acquisition?
I have been looking at mortgage companies to buy, and I might do in a few months. Probably not now, actually. But I am going to be looking at a scaffolding company in 6 months. Probably something about the same size as we are now. So we're going to like double in size, because logistically that's not a problem. But it's just going to depend on location. You get funny old deals. Like I was looking at one deal about an hour away from me, which is fine. But the guy who was selling it wanted a job, and I just thought, it's, you want a clean break, don't you? Otherwise I'm gonna be
Yeah,
buying it, and
yeah,
he's gonna be like, I run the show, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah,
I wouldn't
didn't
do it
work.
like that. Yeah, that's why you fucking sold it. Yeah. Um, if you could, if if someone was starting out, or take yourself back to when you were 16 again, what bit of advice would you give yourself to make your journey or make your experience easier?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that business is the most cash flow you'll ever get quick. So whatever your business is, work for yourself. And I would also say, when that happens, make yourself broke consistently and buy assets. Because to be honest, business, goes up, goes down. Even in this market now, my properties are still performing. And it's nice to take the pressure off, because everyone has ups and downs in life. And the thing is, when things are going shit personally, and you've got to perform at 100% in business, and you've still got to hit targets, etc., having those two pressures together, a real big one. But when you've got the properties just sat there paying you dividends because you did the work at the start, and it's just going to pay you now forever, it takes that
Yeah,
pressure away. And sometimes you get then a reassurance that you can, focus on one thing at a time and not fucking have to worry, about them targets sometimes. So yeah, I would say
I think that's really good advice.
yeah. Well, thank you. What would you say, guys, to the audience?
Put me on the spot now, like I have you. But I think what I would say is, to be fair, I've probably made a few bad decisions, but I've probably made a few really good ones. And I think it's just like, make sure you don't do anything in haste based on your current situation. There's been times where I was like, right, I need to do X because of this, and I've probably done it in haste and it hasn't worked out. So don't do things in haste. Make sure you calculate and mitigate.
Oh, he's such a geek.
I love that one.
Mine's a bit weird. It's such a name. Mine's a bit weird because it's about I did the traditional go to school, go to uni, get a proper job, work your way up to the highest.
And yet you worked in social housing, so you still didn't get a proper job, did you? No, joking. You did well.
Sector. Yeah, not many people know that now because I'm a property, but yeah, worked in the prison sector. Fucking proper job. Yeah, and I burnt myself out tremendously several times over. So for me, I know what goals I want to meet and I know I'm going to get there and I know I'm going to achieve it. But I see people fucking smashing it every day, busting their ass, getting up at 5. Oh, look at me, I've done this dead quickly. And I'm just like, I'll go have my nails done. I'll go to a spa. I'll go paddleboarding now. And I'll get there, but I don't need to get there tomorrow. So I'd say to people, don't sacrifice your well-being to get where you want quicker, if that makes sense.
100%. Life's short. You could be taken tomorrow, and then all those who've just had their head down and forgotten about their life and their family. It's too late then, isn't it? So yeah, enjoy along the way.
Yeah,
hindsight's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of people on social media, and I think you're gonna either have missed your kids' upbringing because you're fucking about all over the place, or you're pissing your partner off, or whatever's going on.
Are you describing me?
Actually, you're an inspiration.
Just said Dan's life in the caption.
I actually wish you'd do more work, Dan.
I know. My head's up my arse half the time, missing my children's life and doing exactly what you just said.
That's because you're in Scotland pissing about.
I know. But no, I totally get it. And I'm gonna plug this. I listened to a podcast. So there's a bloke called Gary Sullivan. He's got a YouTube channel called Gary's Economics and stuff. But there's a really good podcast he does with the guy who has LBC. I can't remember what the podcast is, but Google it. And basically, he at 23, he was a city trader. His first year bonus was 395 grand on top of his salary, and then he became Citibank's number one trader by the age of 25, earning millions. And what he did was bet on economies failing as opposed to betting on GDP growth. And what he's saying now is the UK is seeing one of the biggest disparities in in terms of the poverty gap. And he said, if it carries on going the way it is with no changes, and he said the middle class are the most affected because the wealth, when COVID and that happened, they stopped spending on luxury and they could just buy loads more assets of the poorer people who actually went into financial difficulty. And it's the people in the middle class who literally, although they have good salaries, good jobs, mortgages, they just can't get ahead. And he was like, if it carries on the way it's going, it could end up like some African countries where it's, a huge disparity in like financial deprivation and stuff. So have a listen to that, because some of the points we've touched on, that everyone's in a rat race and this, that, the other, for what?
Yeah, you make a massive point there. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, I'm gonna actually. What was the name of that, Dan?
His name's Gary Sullivan. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll share the podcast. I'll WhatsApp you the actual episode I listened to.
Yeah, that's great.
Send us it as well, and then
I'll put it in the group.
Maybe put it in the show notes or something if people want to listen to it.
Yeah, what way to bring the tone down at the end of the podcast?
Thank you. I was talking about paddleboarding and loving my life.
But it's like what we were saying as well about the UK becoming a shithole, because it is happening. And when you I didn't see any poor people when I was away in Singapore. I didn't see anyone I thought had no money. So you can just see it now, can't you? If it gets worse, how is it going to play out here? It would literally be the same. So yeah, I'll have a listen to that. Thank you.
No worries. So, charity shout out over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, so we like to do a little charity shout out at the end of the podcast, just because it's nice. Is there anyone you want to shout out, or any charities or anything?
Yeah. I would shout out Cancer Research UK. They're doing a lot for the cause, and I've got a lot of people close to me who've been through it. So they're my shout out for tonight.
Love that. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well, Joe, listen, it's been one of the more fun recordings I think we've done. It's good to catch up and good to talk about a load of silly shit, but a lot of meaningful stuff as well. And wishing you all the best on your new acquisitions, business growth, and I'll speak to you probably no doubt soon. Waiting on evaluation to come back. So Heidi
On the
and
22nd.
I both use Joe as well. So we'll.
Yeah, I'll be like on you, like, can we please get this deal sorted, please?
What's on the 22nd? Is that when evaluation's coming back?
Yeah, it's due back then, so I will let you know. And Heidi, we'll speak soon. I've got you're an agent to my clients, and also now you're my client too. So yeah, we've got much to discuss. So I'm sure
Yeah.
you call me anytime. You've got my direct line
I'll keep you
anyway.
posted.
Yeah.
And I'll answer all my emails. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I took ages to get back to one of your staff members, Kelly. That was my fault. But what's your socials, Joe? How can people find you?
You can get me on Instagram, Joe Mortgage Lane, all one word, and Facebook, just Joseph Lane. That's me.
Brilliant. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. And if you like the episode, share it, like, subscribe. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you both.
Unbelievable. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope we added value to your day. Stay tuned and see you next time for another unbelievable episode. See you next time.